The clink of champagne flutes echoed like glass bones shattering in a cathedral of whispers. Candlelight flickered over crystal and linen in the grand hall, casting warm light over faces dressed in fragile smiles. My heart thudded beneath the tightness of my dress shirt, and the scent of roses, hundreds of them, hung heavy in the air like perfume in a funeral home. I watched my daughter, my Emily, radiant in a pale blue gown that made her eyes glow like summer sky. Her laugh danced across the room as she leaned into her fiancé, Matthew Carter, the golden boy, wealthy, well-bred, endlessly confident. Everything my world had never been. I stood in the corner like a shadow no one remembered inviting. Then came the toast. Matthew rose, champagne in hand, his other resting possessively on Emily's shoulder. He flashed a grin as perfect as his jawline and tapped his glass with the silver knife. Tonight, he began, his voice warm like honey, but with a sharp edge hidden beneath. We celebrate love, and more importantly, legacy, laughter and applause. His family, the Carters, owned half the real estate in this city. Their name was printed on hospital wings and concert halls. My name an afterthought on a dusty toolbox. I'm lucky to marry the most incredible woman I've ever met, he said, his eyes locked on Emily. And with her, I gain a new family. Some of them I welcome with open arms. There was a pause, a breath, a shift in the air, and some well. He chuckled, looking straight at me now. Let's just say, not every life is lived with purpose. Some people pass through this world without leaving much of a mark. But tonight isn't about them. It's about the future. A silence. The air dropped 10 degrees. My hand tightened around the sweating glass in my palm, the knuckles pale. I felt the old fire burn in my gut hot, familiar, dangerous. Emily's face turned, confused, her smile frozen mid-expression. She looked at me, I looked back, and I remembered everything. My name is Jack Harmon, 40, 9 years old. Mechanic, widower, father of one. I built my life from broken things, greasy engines, burn, doubt dreams. A 3-room house that leaned when the wind blew too hard. I raised Emily alone after her mother died when Emily was 7. Cancer doesn't care how much money you don't have, it just takes. I worked 12-hour shifts, took night jobs, missed birthdays, and skipped meals so she could have what I never did. Education, opportunity, safety. She got into Stanford on scholarships and tears. And I drove the truck I'd rebuilt from scrap across 3 states to drop her off, pretending I wasn't crying behind the wheel when she waved goodbye. I never wanted her to need my life, only to escape it. So when she met Matthew at a tech conference her junior year, and his bright, sleek world pulled her in, I stood back. I smiled, I nodded, I swallowed my misgivings because she looked happy, but that toast, that moment. Something cracked open inside me, not just because of what he said, but because of what it revealed. After the awkward silence, the wedding planner scurried in with cake and music to smooth it over, but the wound was there, raw and bleeding. Emily tried to laugh it off, tried to pull me aside later, but I just smiled. "It's fine, sweetheart," I said. "You enjoy your night." But that night, I didn't sleep. I walked the streets near my motel, the city cold and hollow, and remembered my brother's funeral. He died at 23, drunk driving. I remembered my first heartbreak, the time my boss told me I'd never be anything but a dumb hand with a wrench, the time I nearly let go, and the time I didn't. I remembered why I fought to keep living, because no life is worthless, not even one like mine. The next morning, I was packing to leave when someone knocked on the door. I opened it to find a man I didn't recognize at first. Gray hair, tailored coat, a cane in one hand, but the eyes, same as Matthew's. "Mr. Harmon," he said. I nodded. "I'm Charles Carter, Matthew's father." I waited for the reprimand, the apology, the offer of a check to disappear. But instead, he stepped inside without asking, closed the door, and said, "My son was a fool last night, and you deserve to know why." Turns out, Charles Carter didn't start with wealth. He started in a trailer park in Arkansas, bootstrapped his way out, brick by brick, loan by loan, lie by lie. He built an empire, but he paid for it in blood. His brother died by suicide. His first marriage collapsed, and he nearly lost it all in the 2008 crash. He looked at me with something like regret and said, "I raised my son to inherit the world, but I never taught him what it costs to build one." Then he handed me something. An envelope, inside an old photo of a mechanic shop. "Mine, I've been watching you for years," he said. "Not like a spy, like a man who misses who he used to be. You built a life, not for glory, for love. That's worth more than my bank accounts." I stared at him, stunned. Then he added, "And for the record, I'm cutting Matthew off." My mouth opened. What? He needs to learn what legacy really means. The fallout came fast. Emily called me, crying, a week later. She and Matthew had split. He blamed me, of course, but Emily, my fierce, brilliant daughter, had seen the truth. She said, "Dad, I loved the man he pretended to be, but he never respected where I came from. He never respected you." And that was it. The last ember of doubt extinguished in my chest. 3 months passed. I went back to my garage, back to my coffee and my oil-stained hands. But something had changed. The Carters offered to invest in a community center I'd always dreamed of. A place to teach young kids, especially those with no clear path, how to build something with their hands. I said yes, but only if I ran it, and only if it bore my name, Harmon Works. We opened it 6 months later. Emily came home for the ribbon cutting, holding my hand. Her eyes shimmered with tears. "You gave me everything," she whispered. "Now you're giving others the same." I smiled. "That's the point, isn't it?" As for Matthew, last I heard, he was managing a rental car shop in Phoenix. His dad made good on his word. No inheritance, no trust fund, just a shot at becoming a man. I don't know if he took it, but I hope he did. Because sometimes you only understand the value of a life when you have to build one from scratch. And mine was never worthless. It just wasn't loud, but it echoed where it mattered, in the laughter of a daughter, in the grease on young hands, in the quiet pride of a man who never gave up, not for praise, not for legacy, but for love. And that, I've learned, is the loudest legacy of all.